So, trying to get my mood and my space right. uh, it's always important for me to get my mood and my space right. Because I always get so anxious. But I'm realizing that my anxiety is excitement. That's what I'm feeling, excitement to speak. Not really anxiety, but excitement. I feel like there's so many different things I want to touch on, but they aren't all congruent. So, just get my space together first. And then we'll speak on some things. You know? We'll speak on some things after my space is right. I got a new root chakra ball. And I'm really excited about it. Because I love it. And I need a lot of root. I always need a lot of grounding. I'm so headspacey. Okay. So, what I really am here for, what I really wanted to talk about, because I actually tried to make a post 2 times and Facebook would not post it. So, this was my thought. It's important right now that we all establish a certain amount of clarity and inner peace. And I know that's pretty vague. It's a lot to ask for. To be like, get in there, find your peace, find it now. I command you. But I do command you to go inside and find your inner peace, like right now. For multiple reasons. Because in my first video, like ever, it wasn't my first video ever, but it was, but I talked a lot about the veil lifting and our dimensional shift. And from that point on, things this year are going to intensify, and there were going to be some events and things happening. And then events and things started happening. There's more events and things happening. And I want people to understand that a lot of this is unavoidable. And it's really important for your own mental safety, your own emotional safety, your own spiritual wellness, that we all develop a very grounded viewpoint of what's happening in the world right now. There are, I'll just put it straight out there the way that it is. Most of our world leaders and governments are occult groups. A lot of people don't like to confront that. A lot of people don't like to talk about it. I mean, let's get real. There are millions of children that go missing every year, and there are sacrifices that happen every year. And we are in a year of sacrifices. We are in a year of sacrifices because we're coming up on a time where they need to appease their gods, in a sense. They need to appease their spirits. You're going to hear my dog eat a bone in the background, and it's actually going to drive me crazy. I want to be right back, because I can't stand that. Not right now, no, not while I'm doing the video. We can't have the phone while you're doing the culprit for the sound. She's not going to like that, but I'll give it back to her. So, the fact is, we're watching rituals and things of that nature play out in front of us, in front of our very eyes. There was just an attack in France. And please do note that there are going to be more terror attacks here on American soil. These things have to happen. So we know that they're going to happen. So as long as we get it drilled into our heads that we know these things are going to happen. But now that we have that perspective and we're aware of it and it's not surprising and we know what they're doing, then we can take a couple of steps back and start to work on ourselves so that we are in the right frame of mind to help other people that are not really so aware that this stuff is intentional and this stuff is happening and this stuff is going to increasingly happen. So it's really super, super duper 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 important that, which is something I'm also working on as well, is that our level of awareness does not borderline panic or worry or fear, because there's definitely a difference of the reason why I tell you guys things. It's not like I want you to, like, to all freak out and, start hiding underneath your bed or anything like that. No. At the end of the day, you have to command your space. The energy of fear will actually invite the thing that you don't want directly to you. So the reason why I actually just give you the awareness is because, bottom line, you have to be aware of what you're facing. Now, what you do with the information after that is solely up to you and your own person. But when you're aware of things, at least for me, when I'm aware of them, I am able to put them in their proper perspective, and then I'm able to work on grounding myself so that I don't develop a worry or a fear about them. A lot of everything that's happening needs to happen, to be quite honest. Their system is going to, because they make the mistakes. At the end of the day, the law of karma still prevails. So good versus evil, whatever the case may be, no matter how sucky it is, they're still going to lose. They're still going to lose. We've already got this. We got to empower ourselves. It's going to come out on top, because a lot of their plans aren't going to work the way that they think their plans are going to work. And that's okay. But at the same time, these are beings and organizations and groups that wish to take as many souls as they can in the process, because they know that they are not going to win this thing. So protect your soul, because at the end of the day, I cannot speak for anybody else's, their sanctity or their spiritual sanctity, but you can, because you're directly responsible for it, So if I am protecting my soul, if I am diligently making sure that I am removing all toxicity out of my life, and I've actually noticed this naturally throughout my process and my journey, that I naturally started phasing different things out of my life that just were not helpful for me anymore, and that fed the fear and that fed the negative energy in my life. So one thing that totally helps to keep a clear head and a clear space is diet change. I know that we kind of like to all avoid this topic because we like what we like and things taste good. I totally get that. But I'm going to give you my unbiased perspective, because I have been cyclically vegan or cyclically vegetarian, and I have eaten meat in between those times as well. So I can say that I do operate and think much clearer when I am not eating animal-derived products. I used to love medium rare or bloody steak. So again, this is not coming from a place of bias. I would eat the shit out some meat, but there's definitely a difference with the way that it affects your body and your body's chemistry. So again, not bias. I'm not one of those people that are going to be like, please don't eat this, I'm condemning you for your food choices. No, totally not me. But I am letting you know that there's definitely a difference for your mental function, feeling lighter, feeling more adept. You don't actually take on, it's really funny, we don't think about everything being energy. So we are eating energy in a sense of all sorts and kinds. So when these animals, because most of my issue with eating meat actually has to do with the way that we mass produce them and how we treat them. You are actually consuming the transferable energy that being felt. So when you eat an animal that felt fear, or you eat an animal that had been tortured or lived its life afraid, you take on that energy. I guess it's a funny play on you are what you eat, but you take on the energy of the things that you put in your space and inside of your body. So that's something to definitely be aware of. If you choose to still eat meat, because again, it's a choice, and I'm not stopping a person on this train, at least try to be aware of the sourcing of it, especially nowadays, because meat can be pretty toxic depending on where you get your meat, because they're pumping it full of steroids and unnatural chemicals and preservatives and really scary stuff. So if you want to vibrate higher, change your diet. Get rid of the sugars. Sugars really aren't great for you at all. They're actually bad for you. I'm not going to sugarcoat that sugars are bad for you. Sugars are really damn bad for you. So get rid of the sugars. Drink a lot more water. Honestly, a gallon of water is a lot a day. But your body needs it. Your body needs it to flush out the toxins of all sorts on all levels. You have to be a well-oiled machine. You have to stay hydrated. It actually does affect you a lot. Most people don't realize that the physical decisions that we make greatly affect our spiritual health. So if we're not eating well, if we're eating processed foods, if we're eating junk, if we're eating chips all the time, if we're drinking soda, and we're literally calcifying our pineal gland, we're glunking this up. Third eye glunked up. Soda, ever think about it this way. You drink a soda, you just messed up your pineal gland. Your third eye ain't woke, okay? It's really kind of simple. Also, breathing. We don't actually breathe. We breathe on autopilot. We don't think about our breath anymore. It's just like you take air for granted. How many of us actually take air for granted? I mean, seriously. Like, we're just so used to breathing that we don't actually even realize we're breathing, and that shit's fucking important. So, like, let's get into the breath. So, like, honestly, if you're having a moment of anxiety, or you're feeling flustered or overwhelmed, or whatever the case may be, the best thing you can do is reconnect with your breathing. I had somebody tell me, and it's been really, really healthy for me, is they gave me the example of watching babies breathe. So when you watch babies breathe, they take these nice full breaths. You see their chest rise, you see it fall, you see their stomach like inflate like a balloon full of air. And that's how we're really supposed to be breathing. Babies are taking deep, nice breaths. Adults, we kind of like, we're rushed. Everything's rushed. Everything's like not out. Everything's out the moment. So we even take for granted nice deep breaths. So like really like try to get all that air at the top of your lungs. And then you feel your stomach expand. Chest, heart up. Push that air out. So we even just have to take simple steps at reconnecting with our breath, because sometimes we forget that we have air. And another thing that really helps while trying to not take life for granted, because a lot of life is being taken. Connect with nature and beings and animals. They are sentient. They are conscious. They are living. They are feeling. Plants grow better when you touch them. Plants grow better when you talk to them. It's not a coincidence. No different than water atoms respond to negativity. So it's really important to know that your energy does affect the space around you. And you can also just raise your vibrational energy by being around those people that have higher vibrations. Don't be a leech. For real. Like, if you're like downtrodden and terribly, like, for some reason just sucking the life out of everything around you, like, get yourself right first before you go like sucking the life out of somebody else. But if it's like, you just feel a little bit down today and you need to be near somebody, go be near somebody. Like, you might need to just talk it out. Tell a tree, well, you don't talk to trees enough. They'd like to hear from you. They'd like to hear from us. They'd like to feel appreciated. Again, we live around sentient beings. And also, this is off topic, but it's really been bothering me. Words and labels. Words and labels decrease the value, oftentimes, of what something truly innately is. But that's just the flaw of language. So I'm starting to realize that no different than, like, let's go back to like our meat eating talk for a second. When people refer to what they eat, like, let's say like you had some bacon in the morning, you say you had bacon. You don't say that you had a pig. A pig is a living, breathing being. We've dissociated the idea with the source that comes from the living, breathing being from the being itself. See how words are really crazy like that? Like paper and trees. We need a lot of paper. Paper is seemingly disposable. You don't value paper, but you value the tree. But because there's now dissociation with words and context, We value less the tree, more the paper, but the tree is living, it needs to actually stay alive to life. So it's really funny. Be very aware of words and labels because they are sucking the value out of things, okay? We refer to animals as meat instead of animals. We now no longer refer to them as beings, breathing beings, beings with families. They're just pork. They turn into pork, they turn into poultry, they turn into objects instead of life, which is the funny thing about words and how even words detach us and desensitize us from certain situations. Paper and tree. It's like the root of the thing completely gets dissolved and forgotten about. So think about our language. Think about what we do day to day and if we're really valuing it the way that it should be valued. And then lastly, people got on my ass about the Pokemon comments. There is a gift with every seeming curse. And I will take that. I will take the catch-22. I will appreciate it. You won't hear me fussing about it. I'm pretty hands-off now. I'll let things happen the way that they're supposed to happen. I am very glad that this program is bringing a lot of you out of your homes and getting you closer to a phase of not being depressed and actually socializing. That's good. And that's just another version of how things backfire. Sometimes the original purpose and the original creation of a thing actually brings people closer together. And actually other things happen that they did not intend to happen. So power to the people that are finding benefit from it. But like anything else in life, too much of anything could be a bad thing. Don't associate anything. It goes for games. Don't associate anything to your happiness. You have to be the happiness. Because when you remove that thing and then you take it away and it's no longer there anymore, then what are you? Do you still feel whole? Do you still feel satisfied? So be very aware of the value that we place on things and making sure that the feelings and the change that you're experiencing is something that is truly happening and not just something that we've now used as a crutch. Because if that thing ever goes away, then we're back in the same spot. So put everything in its proper place. I can't talk some days. So that's all I really want to say. Be mindful of your space. Be mindful of your energy. Be mindful of your words. Be mindful of other people around you. And really be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of your surroundings these days, people. Be mindful and be clear-headed in your surroundings. Be mindful and clear-headed in major events. Just really be aware that we're living in a time where people need to feed their gods, and that our government does participate in sacrifices, and they're done out in the open, all these terrorist attacks, and it's all be sad, but we know that it's happening. So be mindful of your space. Be aware of your space. Be aware of the people in your space. Be aware of what your spirit feels. When you are somewhere and you get that gut feeling that you're not supposed to be there, leave, honestly. If you are feeling anxiety about any events and you don't want to go to any major events, I don't blame you. Don't go. Listen to your heart. Okay, there are things that I will not be attending. And honestly, at the end of the day, you really have to feel it, connect to it, because it's a survival mechanism that is implanted in every single last one of us. It's instinctual, it's natural, it's animalistic. So when you get those feelings and those impulses that don't you think you're not supposed to be somewhere, honor that feeling. Don't let anybody talk you into doing something you don't want to do. Don't let anybody talk you into being somewhere you don't want to be. Because if you truly in your heart feel like you shouldn't be there because of the times we're in, don't go. Good night. Be well. Be blessed. I love you all so much. Some people have been deciding that I come off abrasive sometimes. It's really just because I want to shake the shit out of human race. I just really want everybody to understand. I just really want everybody to get it. And I also understand that not everybody is going to get it. And I'm okay with that too. So if I come off abrasive sometimes, sorry, but not sorry. Good night.